Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalam ala Rasulillah al-Kareem. Amma ba'd. So the Prophet, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about Luqman alayhi salam, and we were talking about how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose out of all the different advices that fathers have given to their kids or sons, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose Luqman alayhi salam's advice specifically. And so we were first talking about how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala basically says, Anishkur lillah wa man yashkur li nafsi. That if a person is thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he's only thankful for himself. It's not going to benefit anyone else except himself. وَمَنْ كَفَرَ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ غَنِيٌّ حَمِيدٌ. And whoever is ungrateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then they should know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ghani, he's wealthy, he's rich, he doesn't need anyone, and he is Hamid, he is always praised and thanked without us doing it. He doesn't need us to do it. Okay? So he was praised and thanked before creation, and he was praised and thanked during creation, and he has creatures and different things praising and thanking him. And after every single thing is dead, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroys the universe, even then he is Hamid, Al-Hamid. He is the one who is praised and thanked. So he doesn't need us to do it. He's kind of given us this chance to obey him in order to get Jannah. This is out of his mercy. He didn't need to do that. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created this universe and gave us a chance to kind of prove ourselves to him that we are worthy of his Jannah and of his mercy. And so the next verse, it talks about وَإِذْ قُلْنَا وَإِذْ قَالَ لُقْمَانَ لِابْنِهِ وَهُوَ يَعِظُهُ يَا بُنَيَّ لَا تُشْرِكْ بِاللَّهِ إِنَّ الشِّرْكَ لَظُلْمٌ عَظِيمٌ. Okay? So Luqman's first advice to his son is that he said to his son while he was giving him loving advice, "Come here, young son, oh my young boy. Don't associate anyone with Allah." Okay? لا تشرك بالله.
Wait, what was it?
إِنَّ الشِّرْكَ لَظُلْمٌ عَظِيمٌ. Okay? Don't associate partners with Allah. Don't do shirk with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And know that إِنَّ الشِّرْكَ لَظُلْمٌ عَظِيمٌ. Shirk is the greatest dhulm anyone can do. It's the greatest injustice. Right? So sometimes when we think like murder is of course really bad, theft is really bad, and hurting someone is really bad. Yeah, all of those things are really bad. They're injustice. But the greatest injustice is shirk. Why do you think that is?
Because you're associating partners with Allah and
yeah, you're associating partners with Allah, but why? Why is that the greatest shirk? You're not hurting anyone if you do that.
You're hurting the creator.
You're not hurting Allah.
No.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't need you.
Yeah, but you're praising something that didn't make you.
yeah.
You're not.
Yeah, but it doesn't hurt anyone.
You're not giving justice to your Lord.
You're not doing justice. Okay, you're not doing justice. The one who gave you everything, pretty much. Okay? The one who makes your heart beat, the one who gives you eyesight, the one who gives you hearing, the one who gives you breath, the one who gives you a family, the one who, the countless blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us. You're not being grateful to him. Okay, a simple thing. And of course Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is much, his example is like mathalul a'la, right? His example is much higher. But just say like your parents, okay? Like mama and baba, they sit there and they're doing things for you. Okay? They're doing things for you. Day in and day out, they're doing things for you. And then the person just goes crazy and, you don't do anything for me. Okay? Or they show the love that they should be showing to the parents, but they show it to someone else. Like how teenagers do that usually, right? Teenagers, when they're a little bit older, what do? They show their friends more respect than their parents. Even though the parents did everything for them, right? They show them more respect. Why? Because they think that, they think that I don't need my parents anymore. I'm independent. So this is kind of how, like a little bit of how shirk is. That you associate a partner with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even though He's the one who did everything for you.
कि अगर हाँ आपने इतनी हेल्प की है किसी
Yeah.
को और वो बंदा किसी और को जाके प्रेज कर रहा है मुस्तकिल आपको देखता भी नहीं है आपको तो गुस्सा चलेगा
Yeah, you're going to get extremely upset, right? And of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, again, He doesn't need that. But this is the way, this is what shirk is, right? It's the greatest crime in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? The other thing that we learn, there's some lessons that we could take from this ayah, that the Luqman alayhi salam radiyallahu an, when he was talking to his son, it says, وَهُوَ يَعِذُهُ. Okay? Ya'idh or wa'ad. What's wa'ad?
Like young.
Huh?
नहीं
I'm just guessing.
Wa'ad.
Anger?
Waw, ayn, dha. Huh?
Wow. Oh, like a wada.
No, not wada.
Wada.
Oh, like an advice.
Yeah. So it's not just advice.
Like
It's
maw'idah.
maw'idha. Maw'idha is like it's a loving advice. It's advice that hits you. Okay? It's meaningful, loving, caring advice and instruction.
Like a great way.
Okay? This is what it means.
Maw'idah.
So it means a loving, meaningful, caring instruction or advice that the person, he like pours his heart out when he's giving it. He gives it in such a beautiful way and it connects with your heart. Right? Because he's so heartfelt, he's so emotional when he's telling and sharing it. He's doing it out of so much love that when you hear it, it just melts your heart. And you might even start crying. Like sometimes when you're listening to a lecture, right? And the sheikh or the imam or whoever, they say something that's really touchy and your eyes tear up. Why? Because there's like different things, of course, involved, but like one of them could be that the person is saying it such a loving way, in a loving way, that it hits your heart. It makes an impact on you.
that or sometimes when you're going through that
Mm-hmm.
and when someone says something to advises you
And it's just at the right time. Yeah. And so that's another thing that we learned, that there's a right time to talk to people.
Yeah.
If you keep nagging people every single day, then that's not going to work. So you have to spread out your advice a little bit when you're giving advice to people. Okay? So when the right time came, Luqman alayhi salam gave this advice to his son. And then the other thing we can learn from this is the word he uses. Ya bunayya. Right? Ya bunayya. Oh my loving or dear son. Yeah, bunayya is in Arabic. It's like my young boy. Even though this son might be older, it's like my young kid. Because usually when the kids are young, what are they? Aren't they cuter?
no
Yeah, when they're 3, 4 years old, 2, 3, 4, that's like a really, really cute age, right? The parents are always playing with the kids at that time. It's just a really cute age because feel like you're really close to them, right? So he's saying to Ya bunayya, oh my dear son, oh my loving son, and then he gives him this advice. Okay, so this is something that we should also use when we're talking to each other. We should say it in a loving way, and we should make them feel appreciated before we give the advice. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentions first about gratefulness, right? So you show gratitude, you show appreciation, and then you give advice. Okay? And then, like I mentioned, the first advice was لا تشرك بالله إن الشرك لظلم عظيم, that the greatest, or do not do shirk, and that is the greatest injustice. Okay? And Ibn Taymiyyah, he said a few things, and we'll stop at this inshallah after this. So Ibn Taymiyyah, he said, our slavery to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is categorized in these different ways. First of all, in prayer and worship, that you cannot worship anyone except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Can we worship, do a sajda to an idol? Or give charity to an idol or for an idol? Right? No, right? You can't. It's shirk. So can you do a ibadah to someone else? No. Okay, you only worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now the second thing, Ibn Taymiyyah rahmatullah alayhi, he said we obey only him. Okay, of course you can obey your parents, your boss, the elderly, laws of the government and so on. But if you obey someone else and you're disobeying Allah, this is what we're talking about. I can't remember the exact saying in Arabic, but لا معصية لا anyway, basically you cannot disobey al-Khaliq, the creator, by obeying the makhluk. Okay, so you cannot do that. So you cannot.
ऐसे किसी को आप जो है ना obey कर रहे हो दूसरे लोगों को while at the same time you're disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah, you can't be like if someone tells you not to pray.
As your parent, if
Yeah.
the parent is telling you something about the dunyavi thing.
Yeah, that's different.
Making them happy.
Yeah, that's different. But if they're like go and buy an interest, like house on interest. So you're going in war with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you're kind of, so this is haram, of course. You're not allowed to go, you're not allowed to obey Allah, the person instead of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number 3, we trust Him. Okay? We only trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this trust is unique to Him. Tawakkul ala Allah. Right?
What was
So
number 2?
we obey only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
But
like-
that was number 1.
No, it wasn't. We worship Allah as one. We obey Him is 2. Number 3 is we trust Him. Okay? And so, trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is something that, He's giving us certain things, of course, without us having to do anything. Like we don't have to tell our heart to beat. Excuse me. We don't have to tell our brain to think or anything like that, right? These are things that just kind of are happening. And so,
Natural.
yeah, it's just a natural thing that we have to trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He wants good for us and what's best for us. Okay? Number 4, we have to love Him. Okay? So your heart has to be tied to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? You can't, if your love for someone else is more than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you're going to feel distracted in salah. Right? If you have love for your friends or family or anyone more than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it could become shirk. Right?
Exactly.
Because you're going to follow that person or obey that person now because of that love, and you might do shirk.
So that means when you're doing namaz and you're thinking about dunya, that means you like the dunya more than...
Yeah.
No, I mean that's just almost natural, but we have to. That's why we have to slowly try to get those thoughts out. That when we're praying, that we're focused on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like for example, if someone loves their kid so much that they're willing to do haram, to like earn haram money to help those or satisfy those kids. Like the kid wants something really bad, and you'll go steal it or something because you don't have the money for it. Or you go and do something haram to go get that. Then this is what it's haram.
Skipping prayers for the.
Yeah, because of the love that you have for someone else. Okay. And number 5, okay, is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decides the terms of the relationship, not us. Okay, we can't choose that. Oh well, Islam means this to me, so I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't have the right to do that. And
Allah decides the terms of
the relationship, like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us how to obey Him. We can't tell Allah we want to obey Him. We don't have that freedom. Okay, I'll do Jummah, but the rest of the week I'll do whatever I want. Right? I'll, give my zakah, but then I'm gonna earn a haram income, a haram through maybe haram business. Right? I'm going to pray 5 times a day and have a beard and so on, but in my will I don't have a place for my daughters because I don't want to give inheritance to girls. Right? I want to memorize the Quran, but then I don't want to follow anything in the Quran. So all of these different things, these are, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala basically is telling us here that this la tushrik billah, that do not associate partners with Allah. And the last thing I want to finish, because this ayah is almost done now, I don't want to go to the next one yet. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if a person worships other than Allah, Okay, like if you love someone more than Allah, or like almost like a partner with Allah, or you love, like peer pressure nowadays. You're so fearful, and you don't have the tawakkul in Allah, that you're so fearful that you're like, oh, I'm not gonna wear hijab, okay, because what are they gonna think of me, right? Oh, I'm not gonna pray in public because what are they gonna say about me, right? I'm not gonna. Everyone's doing certain things, so I have to do that because what are they gonna do or what are they gonna say to me if I don't, right? So sometimes we're pressured in a way to do something that is against what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants. Okay? And this isn't shirk, but what I'm trying to say is that this is where the sin starts. Why? Because you're putting someone else kind of in place of what you should be doing for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You understand?
Yeah.
So this is something really, really important to understand, that that we don't do shirk, and we always ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us husnul khatimah, that we die on tawheed and pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instead of doing shirk. Okay? Any questions?
आपने जो है ना लिखा, आपने कहा कि लुकमान अलैहिस्सलाम की एडवाइस थी, आपने बोला कि फर्स्ट एडवाइस है कि डोंट एसोसिएट पार्टनर्स with Allah
Yeah.
पर आपने कहा सेकंड जो है मौइज़ा.
No, I didn't say second. And that was the first maw'idah. This is maw'idah. This advice that he gave, this is the first advice. And how did he give it? Ya bunayya. He said it in a beautiful way. And the first advice was, do not associate partners with Allah.
But trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
No, those are types of, basically how to worship Allah.
Okay.
Or how to not do shirk.
God.
Okay? So there's many types, like tawakkul is a part of tawheed, right? Ibadah is part of tawheed. Dua is part of tawheed. Remember when we did that last year? We went through the aqidah,
Yeah.
the long lessons on aqidah. That's what tawheed is, right? So you only do dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You only, when you slaughter an animal, you only do it to Allah, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you pray, you only do it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you do hajj, you only do it for Allah. Anyway, any type of ibadah that you do, it's for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then there's tawheed al-uluhiyyah. Okay? Well, that's actually the same as al-ibadah. And then there's asma wa sifat. That the qualities that you give, or that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has, those are only for Him. The creation cannot have any of those qualities. What was the third tawheed? Rububiyyah. And what does that mean?
Good.
Rububiyyah, lordship.
The lordship. One witness in the creation. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He Himself is the creator of the universe. He had no partners in that. Okay? So He is the Rabb. He is the sustainer, the nourisher, and creator of the entire universe. And He's the only one who has power over that. Okay? Everything else is creation of His, and it answers to Him. And that's another part that you have to, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is perfect. Asma wa sifat, is like, part of that is that He is perfect in every single attribute. That He is perfection in everything. And that's what God is, right? God is perfection in everything. And there's nothing else that is perfect except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Huh?
Even if you, like a normal person that like doesn't even learn this, they have logic. That
Yeah, logic would,
Like say that, admit to it.
yeah. That's true.
And like if you're in danger.
Yeah, when you're in danger, like the Quran talks about it, right? When the person's in the ocean and they're in danger, they have no one else to call upon. What do? They call upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's what, like the son of Abu Jahl, what was his name? Ikrimah, right? Ikramah ibn Abi Jahl, when he ran away from Mecca because there was a bounty on his head. He went into the sea, and they were about to die. Basically, there was a huge storm. They were about to die. They were saying their prayer, and he called out, like instead of the idols, they pretty much threw away the idols, start calling on to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then when they made it back to the land, he realized, he said, what did I do? And so he covered his face and he went back to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He took his shahada. Right? Why? Because he realized how, illogical he was acting. And he became shaheed, I believe, after that too. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq and understanding, inshallah.